In 1995, Pixar asked the question, what if toys had feelings? Now in 2021, Eiichiro Oda asks the question, what if swords had feelings? Hi, I'm Dawn of the World, and I'm here to shine a light on recent developments in the Zoro vs. King fight, with spoilers from chapter 1033. I'd just like to give a little bit of an apology for my schedule. My outside life is kind of chaotic. I attend a film school, and we're currently doing a series of film shoots that were meant to be earlier in the year but got postponed for somewhat obvious reasons. We have basically all of these back-to-back shoot days or organization days. But anyway, my New Year's goal for this channel is to have the upload schedule totally finessed. In fact, this week I think I've achieved it. I uploaded a video on Monday, and if everything goes to plan, I'll be uploading this video on Thursday, so I'm technically already there. However, this is also technically my chapter review for chapter 1033, which the next chapter is coming out within the next probably 24 hours. But never mind that, because this is honestly a discussion that's more about King and about Zoro, which will probably still stand after the following chapter. Also, because I'm just so pressed for time, I might just do something a little bit more conversational than what I normally do, but we'll see what happens, because I've got to edit it all together as well. And do you like my mug? Keep it weird. And it's got a platypus on it. The amount of products I have that feature a platypus is probably at least the same amount of products that I have that feature Brooke. So that's saying something. Anyway, let's jump into the discussion, shall we? After several weeks of jumping around Onigashima, fun as that has been, it felt sort of grounding and refreshing in a sense to have basically an entire chapter centered on the one battle. And this battle is honestly Zoro's most intense fight yet. And to be fair, in all of the nearly 25 years of One Piece, I would suppose almost everybody else in the crew who's fighting at Onigashima right now is also in their most intense battle so far. Like, Robin certainly was, Luffy definitely is, Sanji would be as well. But for a character like Zoro, one of the only two people in the crew whose official role is a purely combatant type role, the other is Usopp, funnily enough, the magnitude of this particular battle is very much felt. There was a brief moment when we switched over to Sanji and Queen, but even that scene was used to inform the battle between Zoro and King and heighten the intrigue surrounding King's background. In regards to Lunarians, they were all supposed to be eradicated. Ah yes, because what would the world of One Piece land be without a healthy dose of genocide? Probably by the hands of the world government, I'm inclined to presume. Something King would have in common with Robin, actually. I mean, who hasn't been done dirty by the world government at this point? But why were these people eradicated, and when did that happen? This is said to be something that happened a long ago, which kind of begs the question for me that I hadn't considered before this point. How old is King? If Lunarians are supposed to be godlike beings, then it isn't beyond the scope of possibility that they are incredibly long-lived, possibly kind of immortal, or at the very least can live for centuries or more. It's very likely that they have longer lifespans than even giants, who can live up to or even slightly more than 3 times the average human lifespan. And they could have very well been one of the first races to have emerged from One Piece land. King could very possibly be at least a few hundred years old, potentially along with Toki, a character who was alive during the Void Century. Who knows, maybe he's even old enough to be able to first-hand confirm that pterosaurs did indeed do this. But probably not quite that old. The fact that they were said to be capable of living in any inhospitable environment the world threw at them kind of also raises the question, how were they eradicated? If they could live in any kind of crazy environment, then what kind of thing could kill these people? Which obviously Sanji has the exact same thought because he voices this. So do we have any ideas of what kind of ancient and powerful weapon could eradicate a ancient and powerful race like this? Have to wonder about that. I mean, nothing is set in stone, but come on. Also, has anyone else kind of wondered what's King's name? And that kind of extends to Queen as well. I'm sure those aren't their actual real names. Those are kind of titles that they go by within Kaido's crew as the Calamities. And Jack too as well, I guess, but no one cares about Jack. Does anyone want to make a guess at what their names are? Just leave me something that I can read and be amused by on my lunch break tomorrow. And King, why are you here, dude? What exactly is his motive for being with Kaido? Has that been explored yet? I don't think so, because King is so drenched in mystery. I mean, what is his past? Is he with Kaido because being presumably the last of his kind, he has nowhere else to go? I also love how after this whole serious discussion, we again have King making this face. Like, that's something that I love about One Piece. Nobody is above these kind of shenanigans. And where we have just received a shot of intrigue into King's past, we now get one into our very own favourite mossheads. So King is kind of chastising him here. Risking your life to save a sword? Have you lost it? King, do you even know who you're talking to here? This man's entire personality is swords. His autograph is the word sword. He'll probably name his first child sword. He literally used one of his friends as a sword. If he weren't with the Straw Hats and he were to find out about it, he would probably join the Marines just for the chance to become part of the secret group named Sword. He probably wouldn't. That's a bit of a joke. Have you ever wondered, do members of Sword call each other swords or like swordies? Honestly, no, they probably call each other nothing, because rule number 1 of Sword is you don't talk about sword. Did you know if you take the S out of sword, it becomes word? And a word is something that Sword no longer feels like, after saying it that many times. Anyway, the thing is, Zoro clearly loves his swords. He's even referred to them as his boys or his guys at some points earlier in the series. I can't quite think of where, but I'm kind of implying that they're alive. And then this Zoro flashback into his childhood is, I believe, the first Zoro childhood flashback we've had in a very long time. This flashback acts as a means of allowing Zoro's slow brain to connect the pieces and come to the conclusion that maybe there is a connection between Shimotsuki Village and Wano. Very 3D 2Y of him. Well done, buddy. On the topic of Zoro and his sword guys, what a bizarrely wonderful full circle that the two seemingly nameless, inconsequential blades Zoro had at the start of the series that were broken in his scuffle with Mihawk were forged by the same man who created Enma, Shimotsuki Kozaburo. They are, of course, a lot less powerful, as he himself alludes to. The fact that Kozaburo gave Zoro these swords clearly shows the guy could see the potential in this kid, that this kid may one day be able to wield Enma, the magnum opus of his creation. I don't think anything concerning these two initial swords' origins was ever really alluded to at the time that East Blue was coming out, so I wonder if this is something that Oda didn't quite have figured out, 23, 24 years ago, and has only really solidified that in the years since. And just as much a gift as those swords were from Kozaburo to Zoro, this panel of 8-year-old Zoro is from Oda to us. And so Enma is a haki hungry girl and will only bend to someone who has advanced conqueror's haki. At least that's the idea I am receiving. And you know what? Good for her. Girl has some standards that she's set, even if they are incredibly high. And with that, I'd like to extend a message to all of my fellow female viewers, or like 5% of you. Girl, have some standards. But still, Enma is only the second most powerful sword that Zoro has ever wieldt, coming in just behind Heavenly Sword Hana Arashi from Enies Lobby. And standing there, developing his advanced conqueror's haki, because Enma basically told him that he needed to, and he was like, "Aight, I'm on it." Here he just is, just flaming away. Zoro's a real manly man, person who doesn't tend to turn on the feelings, so him being sentimental here was really nice to see. He's actually a really sentimental person, his dream being tied to his childhood friend and all, but that very sentimentality is the ambition and the drive that's helping him obtain this advanced conqueror's haki so that he can meet Enma's sky-high standards and demands. Depending on the translation here, he either says oldest friend or best friend. Now with best friend, I wasn't really certain if he was referring to Kuina or to Luffy, but oldest friend makes it more clear that it's Kuina he's talking about. My dude had like maybe 3 friends before he met Luffy, so it wasn't like he was like, Luffy, out of all the friends I've ever had, you're the first. Anyway, thank you again everyone for being really patient with me. Be sure to hit the like and the subscribe button and let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, as well as the true names you think that King and Queen might have. I'm Dawn of the World and I will see you next time. See you guys.